Hello, hello. Welcome to another NS9 Postgame show. I'm Cody, and for once on a weekday game, I am joined by another member of North Shore 9, Neil. What's up? Glad to have you on our special matinee postgame.
Hello. Yeah, this is fun. We should do this more often.
For sure.
It always feels good to sweep a team. It feels especially good to sweep a team like the Padres. So I'm in a good mood, and it's a nice break from packing up my entire apartment. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were moving.
I'm moving.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to ask you where you're moving to. Don't answer that
I'm
question.
moving 2 miles away. So yeah,
Typical move.
But this was a nice break. Pirates win 5-4, despite a terrible first 5 innings.
Right. Yeah, no, I was, Donardo actually texted me at one point because I told him, I was like, I might not be able to do the show because I might have to go to work, like get ready for work. And he's like, Cody, you might want to just pre-record this show because we know how it's going to end. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. But what was it? When did we start to turn it around? When do you think that was? I know you just said till the 5th.
Yeah, shut up for 5 innings. As soon as Joe Musgrove left the game.
Yes.
Because Joe Musgrove was excellent today, which isn't a surprise.
No.
Very good pitcher. The fact that we've won 2 games after being dominated by 2 very good pitchers in a row is really nice. But Musgrove gave up 2 earned runs. Good 2 runs. I don't think they were unlucky. Unlike last night, where like 90% of our runs were really lucky. But yeah, and then Tim Hill comes in, and then everything kind of falls apart.
Yeah, surprisingly, because like Tim Hill is a vet. He's not a terrible pitcher, right?
Yeah,
and he couldn't get it together today, so that works in our favor, right?
Yeah.
Or in the Pirates' favor, I should say.
He gift wrapped us the lead on one of the stupidest plays I've seen all year, which is saying something.
Right.
Yeah, but no, we will take, if you go up against Joe Musgrove, we were lucky to not face Yu Darvish, but we win those games. It's really nice to see. It's such a relief because if this was last week, we would have lost 3-0 or 4-0.
Right. And I watched the show last night after the fact, and I think Doug said it the best. He said the Padres are getting pirated.
Yeah.
And I said it today. I was like, it feels like we're playing ourselves. Like the Pirates are playing themselves from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing everything you can, and then it falls apart.
And
it's just so funny to see the contrast with another team right now.
Yeah. Well, because like you're conditioned as a Pirates fan, especially you've been cheering for the team for a long time and you don't remember the 90s. Like, you're just expecting it to happen. Like, it's like every single time someone comes in, like when Angel Perdomo comes in, like, well, how are we going to blow this? Or like, last night where we put on Cody Bolton in a 6-run lead, I'm like, how are we going to blow this?
Right.
But it's nice to sometimes have it on the other foot today, especially when your starting pitching wasn't great today.
Yeah, so let's go through the game. Let's go through the pitching part of the game first. Luis Ortiz gets the start, and it wasn't a great one. He gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs. He walked 3 and gave up 2 homers, and that's just not going to get it done. Any way you throw it out there, it doesn't get it done. So break it down for us, Neil.
Well, it's almost like night and day, isn't it? Like the last time he was out, he gives you probably the best start of his career. 8 innings of 1 run or shutout baseball. I don't remember, but like he was nails. And then today, it was awful. And the problem is that he just gets hit so hard.
Yeah.
And if you take a glance at his Savant page, that kind of tells the story. Like and I understand why they're doing this. Like the Pirates have basically told him and Contreras to like tune down the stuff. Like they don't throw their best stuff as hard as they can, their best big, and the idea is that they get more longevity and they don't walk as many people.
Right.
The problem with that is that you're now not throwing the best stuff that made them major league players, and it makes them susceptible to being hard hit. And we saw that today. We're seeing that I mean, he is giving up an 11% barrel rate. That is insane. Like,
Yeah.
um,
I want to touch on what Kenny's saying here in the chat, and it's
mhm.
like it wasn't the best start from Ortiz, but
No,
it could have been a lot worse, right?
it could have been.
He's the 5th starter in the rotation. You could see a lot of things going real bad, and I got to be honest, watching the game, it didn't seem like until the end, it didn't seem like he was pitching a terrible game.
Yeah, the homer, the homer was bad because like it was two
Right.
very soft hit balls
Right.
that result, and then like just a clear home run. My biggest concern isn't even necessarily the hard hit stuff. It's that he had 3 swings and misses today in 4 2/3 innings. He didn't get a single strikeout.
Yeah.
And when you have the dynamite stuff that Luis Ortiz has, like you have a really, really nice 1-2 punch of your sinker and slider, you need to be getting strikeouts. And the Padres, while struggling, are too good of a team to not be getting struck out. They're
Right.
going to hurt you, and they're going to hurt you hard. So even though he gets comparisons to last year's Hunter Green, last year's Sandy Alcantara, and this year's Luis Castillo, which are great comparisons, like the stuff is clearly there. Whatever they're doing to him developmentally wise, I don't think is working. And whether he just needs to adjust to it or is just that it's not working, we need to figure that out.
Yeah, it needs to get figured out. And like you said, with the strikeouts, like he's a guy that we usually rely on for, at the very least, he'll get like 4 strikeouts a game. And to not have any against the Padres team that's just flailing at this point is very concerning. Now let's move on. Baruki came in.
Yeah.
1 pitch, 1 out. You got to love that from a guy that you didn't expect it from, right?
Yes. As someone who doesn't want Baruki on the roster, he did his job today.
Right.
Very happy to get out of the 5th inning like that and come in and pitch another clean 6. No runs, no walks, no hits. Thank God.
Yeah, he came in and he got the job done, didn't do anything fancy, He made sure to get some outs. And then we move on to Moretta, who's been having some issues as of late. And he walked Juan Soto, which was concerning. I was like, oh geez, here we go.
Yeah.
But then, he comes back. I'm pretty sure he came back and got a strikeout, and then he got out of the inning, which was great.
Yeah, Moretta's a guy he was never going to maintain absurd 80% left on base rate that he was having. But I think he's a good.
Okay, but why not? Why not? Everybody has this pessimistic view on Moretta.
Because
why not Moretta?
Because 95% of relievers don't do that. He's as cool as it would be to have Josh Hader out there. He's not and so, but he's a very effective 1-pitch guy. His slider was working today. If you end up walking Juan Soto, it's not a big deal because Juan Soto walks against everybody.
Right.
So, no, and so it's nice to have a little bounce back game where the only person who gets on base is a guy with a 20% career walk rate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not concerned about Moretta.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a super fan of Dowry Moretta, but I think he can be in that 5%.
That's fair. I think he can.
I'll keep believing.
I think he could be a good 7th inning guy.
Yes.
But even the best relievers are going to go through rough patches. I think he's kind of gone through that with the rest of the team, which is, when everyone's bad, it's not great.
Right. And then Perdomo. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
But then you go to Perdomo, who I don't know how he's good. His stuff looks terrible. Right. And he gets strikeouts every single time. So maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about.
It's one of those things, he comes in and I'm just like, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You get me strikeouts, I'll take it. And then I think, I put it up earlier. I forget who said it though, but shout out to Shelton with the bullpen today. He really managed it well. Surprisingly, he doesn't do that often.
I disagree, but I'm not going to get into a Shelton debate today.
Okay.
I think Shelton is given a bad rep, and he manages the bad players as best he can. But no,
I disagree. But anyway,
good job.
We'll talk about that later.
Good job today. By on the day he gets nominated to the All-Star game, he's on the coaching staff for the All-Star game, and so I think it's fitting that he managed the bullpen well today.
Exactly. I also thought it was fitting, and to make the decision to take Perdomo out and then put Bednar in for the 4-out save, I
Yeah.
think that was brilliant. It was
Yes.
great. It was a great move, and it was what needed to be done. If he would have kept Perdomo out there, I really thought we might lose that game.
Yeah. I think when someone with Perdomo, you kind of take the 2 strikeouts and you run, and I think it was good that he recognized that, maybe we shouldn't have him trying to get the last out with a runner in scoring position, especially when Bednar is so money in save situations. Like when the game is close, he's probably a top 5 reliever in baseball. When it's 3 runs or more, he's Cody Bolton tier. It's fascinating.
Right. No, and I mean, we talked about this before we got on today. Like, I'm not a big baseball stats guy. Like, I like baseball. I watch baseball. I don't understand the stats as much as you guys do. But I told my buddy at work before the season, fantasy baseball, he's like, do I want to take this Bednar guy to be in my bullpen on my fantasy team? And I
Yeah.
said, absolutely. And he
Mhm.
did. And for a while there, he just kept coming up to me. He's like, dude, if I win this league, I might owe you money because Bednar just keeps getting me wins.
Yeah.
And he just gets it done, man.
He is absolute nails. Like when it is time to shut the door on a game, like you are getting shades of like Mark Melanson and Jason Grilli and Joel Hanrahan. Like
Yeah.
it is done when Bednar takes the mound, pretty much.
Yeah.
95% of the time, you don't have a shot. You walk the first batter, you're like, uh-oh, is it going to – and then I think he goes 3-0 on Soto. And like, uh-oh, is it going to be one of those games? And then
Right.
he comes back, 3 strikeouts. What a great performance.
Yeah, great performance from Bednar. And Doug, I know you desperately want Neil and I to have a debate about Shelton. I think that's for another time.
Yeah,
I think we
we'll
would go
talk
on
about the
forever
show.
because I don't exactly know what I'm talking about anyway. I just know I see a bad lineups going out consistently. But we'll continue. Let's talk about that lineup. Let's talk about the batters today. What did you see from this team? And I'll get to my point at the end, but I want you to talk about what we saw offensively from the Pirates today.
It was weird, wasn't it? Because like it didn't seem all that great. You score a run in the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once Musgrove exits the game, like we really started booming. I was happy with the fact that we were kind of chipping away. So like we go down 4-0, right? We get 1 run back. We get another run back in the 6th. Like 4-2 was pretty reasonable because like if you are going into say like the 7th inning down 4-0, you probably don't make that comeback.
Right.
But we were able to chip away against a really good pitcher. Kutch. I think the best part of today's game was Greg Brown talking about furries on the broadcast.
Yeah. And he said his stat line too for every time the furries are in town. He's like batting over 400. So
and he went 2 for 4 today, or a double, a run scored. Suwinski technically got an RBI.
Yes, that was exciting.
And then on a Suwinski nuke to the first baseman, and then. Enough can't be said about Henry Davis, man.
Right. 3 for 4 today. 2 RBIs.
Yeah. The offense was so bad. And then like as soon as he came up, the offense, it's not great. The offense is still not great, but it's so much better with Henry Davis in that lineup.
Right. Like when Henry Davis is in the lineup, especially at the 3 spot.
Yeah.
I don't lose hope anymore. I don't go into a game in the 7th inning down we were down 2 runs or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna lose. I see Henry Davis coming up, and I'm like, we might tie it up, and look what happens.
And I think I mentioned this last night about Carlos Santana, where he's not an offensive black hole anymore, which is so big because I will say, like, I think Shelton's fine. I don't know how much of it is his call. I don't like that Santana stayed at the 4 spot when he was useless for a month.
Yeah.
But this team is really hitting and winning games when Carlos Santana is hitting. And I think today's another example of that. 2 hits. He's getting on base. And I feel like when he's doing well, the team is doing well.
Right. And that's what I wanted to talk about today was my man Carlos Santana.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I did a show, I talked about Santana and how he was the only offensive guy in that losing streak, the 10-game losing streak. The only guy that was getting hits, getting RBIs, anything. And now we look at him these last 7. Since the last time I talked about him to now, he's batting .333. He's a .385 on base percentage and .625 slugging. The dude's on fire. He's got 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, why do you want to move him out of the 4 spot? I think that's your guy Shelton. He saw what was coming. he saw that Santana's that consistent guy at the 4 spot. He's going to be able to get a hit. He's going to be able to do something out of the 4 spot. And that's what he has done these last 14, 15 days. He's just gotten it done.
I mean, to be entirely fair, we don't have a whole lot of better options at the moment. It's not like you can stick Cruz there. Sawinski isn't consistent enough to stick there. Connor Joe can only really place against lefties. He can't stick there. And so, no, it makes a lot of sense. But I think it was when he was like a 670 OPS guy as a first baseman. That's because you can't really be batting him lineup. And it's not even his fault. I just don't think he should be playing every day.
Yeah,
he's not a young man. He is 37 years old, and I think that if the Troy wasn't hurt for 90% of the season, he's probably not dipping that badly because you can rotate him in, you can play DH, you can sit while Kutch. So Troy coming back is going to be huge for a multitude of reasons. Not only is he an actual MLB hitter, but he can give Santana the rest that he needs, and hopefully he doesn't dip like that again. But I never was DFA Carlos Santana because he is important. When we were winning games in April, he was always coming through with clutch hits. He was never a high OPS guy, but when we needed the hits, he would give it to us. And so the fact that that's coming back is pretty big.
And he's more important to this team than just being an offensive force. That is what he is. But look at what he's doing on defense.
Yes.
Every time I'm watching him play first base, I'm like, this guy's going to win a Gold Glove at 37 years old.
Yeah. He's
just picking balls out of the air. And then you look at his leadership with this team. Yeah. He's the reason that they celebrate after games like they do. He's the reason these guys – it's almost like he's the reason these guys love coming to the ballpark every day because he's always keeping everybody in a good mood. We thought Kutch was going to do that, and I'm sure he does. But I think Carlos Santana is the more vocal guy. He's like, hey, let's have a good time. We're playing baseball. We're playing baseball, guys. Yeah. We play a children's game for a living. Don't get so upset. Let's just go play.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
And, I guess Coach is a very quiet guy. I think they even held a team meeting before the Padres. He was like, I don't often speak to everyone, but I think I gotta. Right. Carlos Santana comes in and is immediately speaking to everyone from the day one. And unlike Austin Hedges, he actually provides some sort of value on the field. So I would like him around all year. I can't imagine he gets traded, even if we are sellers.
Right.
I think him and Kutch are safe, and I think guys like Choi, Hill, and et cetera are more likely to go. But it's nice to have Carlos Santana. And apparently, what I've been reading is that the Mariners really miss him.
I'm sure they do.
That the Mariners are they don't have the leadership that they still had, and they're and apparently Mariners front office brass are kind of regretting not signing him again. So he's a good player to have.
Yeah, and I mean, I could have told you that back when we played in Seattle and all the fans got so upset that, they're doing our celebration on our field. Yeah. It's no, that was Carlos Santana, and that's what left your team when your owners didn't want to your GM didn't want to re-sign him. That's what they got rid of. They got rid of a guy that can bring together young talent to do good things.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's back there next year, unless we re-sign him, but I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of confidence he comes back, but I would not be opposed.
Right.
Even if he takes a bit of a back seat in playing because he will be 38, and if you're insistent on not letting our catchers play catcher, Endy can play there and he can fill in as a backup. But very happy Carlos Santana this year. And I think one of the few examples where I think the whole emphasis on bringing veteran leadership into the clubhouse has worked. Because there were times during the last 2 months where all right, we bought in all these veterans. What are they even doing? Right. But Carlos Santana is kind of a nice player to have, and he's really showing his worth. I mean, next year, what we have, Endy Rodriguez, Mason Martin.
Yeah, maybe maybe Mason Martin.
I'm just,
I mean,
Connor Joe. I think Connor
Connor
Joe can
Joe.
play first, and like maybe Triola, but you really don't want
But
Triola before
why?
the
Why
first
would you put
base.
Triolo at first when he's
Yeah, which I think
shown
is a
how well he can
nice
play at third?
exactly, which I think is a nice segue into Jared Triolo because
Yeah.
he's a fun player to watch in the field. Like
Oh yeah.
we have little Cabrian Hayes clone here. Like that last out, that last out was an impressive out.
No, yeah,
Which
it was.
and that play, I think it was like in the second inning where like he got like the ball was like at the corner of the infield on the third base line and he threw him out. Like that was
Yeah,
impressive.
I remember that one. Yeah, because Greg Brown was like, "Well, here's a test," and then he throws it, and it's like the dude was dead to rights, and it was like,
Yeah.
wow, like what a throw!
Like there was like I can't believe there's almost no drop off from Hayes' defense to Triola's defense, which is crazy because Hayes is like the best defensive player in baseball,
Right,
and he's hitting. I think that's the big
right,
thing because I think everyone was worried about the bat, and it's only been 2 games, but he had 2 hits today, and they're not anything impressive, both singles. But I'm so happy he's hitting.
right. And that's, I mean, there lies a question, right? When Hayes is healthy, what do? Do you just move him over to short? Do you move
Yeah,
Triolo to short? Do you move Hayes to short? What's the corresponding move? Because I don't
so
think right now, at least 2 games into his MLB career, I
mhm,
don't think you can warrant sending him back down to the minors.
no. If Marcano and Bay to me are way worse in my opinion, and since he can play shortstop, I think he kind of has to slot in every day at shortstop until Cruz comes back. Or you can kind of put Marcano there for a day. You can stomach putting Castro there for a day, but Triolo kind of has to be the shortstop until Cruz comes back. And then when Cruz comes back, I still don't think you can send him down if he hits like this and he provides that defensive value because he can play all over the infield. You can kind of have like a little Josh Harrison type or a better of what G1 Bay is supposed to be, where G1 Bay is supposed to be like this slap hitting bench player, flex player who can play everywhere. But I think Triolo is probably going to be a better version of that because Bay is just terrible. So
Right, and that's something where we've seen a larger pool of data with
yeah,
Bay, right? So we
yeah,
can make that judgment on Bay. We still have a lot to see with Triolo, but two games into this thing, Triolo leaps and bounds better. But also Bay
yeah.
played better at the beginning of the season. So we got to let it play out.
To be fair, I don't think Bay ever hit like Jared Triolo ever hit in the minors. So I think there's
Right,
also
I
that
agree with
body
that.
of work that suggests that Triolo is also a better natural hitter.
Right. All right. Well, we got this comment from Mark Lancaster asking about Dylan Cruz not wanting to sign with the Pirates if he's drafted. Well, guess what, Mark? We got a show tonight with John Callis in DiNardo. And Neil, you were there too, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we talked about Skens, we talked about Cruz, we talked about Langford, and we talked about Clark for about an hour. But what I would say about that is that, it's not great, but it's also
you don't got to say
probably
much because you guys talked
it's a
about it tonight,
negotiation.
right?
We didn't talk about, I think that news, we didn't touch on that a whole lot.
Oh,
But
okay. I'm sorry. I was trying to toss up a tease for you, but I guess I couldn't really tease it because we didn't talk about it. But all right.
Yeah. I tried to plug it. But yeah, I would say that he is it's a negotiation tactic. He's the best college player since Adley Rutschman. He's going to try, but if the Pirates dangle $9.2 million at him, he's not going back to school.
Right.
He's not going to sacrifice the money like that. So I wouldn't worry, but I do feel like this opens the door to the Pirates not choosing him and getting a deal so they can get more money on their picks later on like they did in 2022. So I would not be surprised if the name that's called is Skens or Clark, but I wouldn't want it. I'd be comfortable with it, but that's not my preferred.
Right. Well, anyway, like Kenny says, tonight we got two experts in DiNardo talking MLB draft. Catch that show tonight at what I
It'll be
believe it's
fun.
at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It's
I
scheduled
think it's
for
8. Yeah.
8 o'clock. So everybody be sure to watch that tonight. I'm sure it'll be a good time. It was a good time, right, Neil? It was a good
It was
time.
a lot of fun.
All right.
Callis is very knowledgeable, and he told some fun stories, so would highly recommend.
Yeah, from the clips I saw, it looks like it's going to be a great show. So, folks, that's going to do it for us today on the post-game show. Be sure to watch that tonight, the MLB draft preview with John Callis and Neil and DiNardo. And all right, that's it. That's all I got.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks. Let's get out of here.
Hey, you all, thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.